Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday evening. It is 9 o'clock. Time to gather in the music room and live stream. But first, as always, a little music. Enjoy.
We are all the heirs to Scotland, as a nation proudly stand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let a flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. To the world we bid a welcome in 1,000 different ways. We will toast to long lost friendships as we build our better days. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. We are all the heroes of Scotland. We're a nation hand in hand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum.
Good evening, folks. Okie doke, Woodlander. We'll need to get an arrangement fixed between you and I. I want to know about the initiative. I need a refresher, among other things. So we'll need to get a date set up, my friend, so I can get you to tell me how the initiative works again. Okie doke. Now that I'm financially free from other things. Oh, there's Wolfie. Good evening, Wolfie. Good evening, Gavin. And good evening, Angelo. And I believe there's football on tonight, although I don't know who's playing. Me not having any great interest in the football. Of course, not aware of what's going on there. I didn't even get time to get a shave before I came on. There's always something, isn't there? You notice that? So I take it everyone is suitably upset by the so-called election yesterday. I see Farage got in. Some far wrong, and Galloway didn't get in. I find that highly suspicious. Apparently, he was way out in front. Odd. Really odd. So, oh, there's Margaret. Good evening, Margaret. Would you care to come on live stream at some point, Margaret? That'd be something. Another, another woman. I was quite pleased with Tuesday night with BBC and Alison. Thought that went quite well. It'd be nice to have a regular okie doke woodlander. That's nice. As I say, things have changed for me personally on the financial front, so I need a reminder about how the initiative operates. I've forgotten. Wolfie, elections are so obviously rigged, I get confused why people even talk about them. Yeah, I thought Tuesday was an interesting stream. Um, yeah, please do email me. I would like to get my mind refreshed. I honestly do not remember the details of what you gave out. As I say, my personal situation has improved to some extent. Um, I've got I've freed myself of commitments that I had. So I'm in a better position now to look at the initiative. Two white men playing for France. How disgraceful was that? Shouldn't have any white guys on there at all. Anglo. Oh, there are times when it just drags you down, this stuff. It really does. Terrible. Yeah, I thought the girls were very good on Tuesday night. Enjoyed it, and I wanted Alison to speak about what she does, not for any other reason than if this isn't happening, if these things are not going on where you live, I want to know why. Because they should. They don't even exist all over Scotland, never mind the whole of the UK. And I don't think that's the way it should be. Very good, Wolfie. Very good. Oh, there's Eke. Good morning, Eke. I can't now remember if I've sent you an email, Eke, about the movie review being cancelled. I hope I have, but with Laura's funeral being on Thursday there, and I'm just I'm just not ready to do a movie review. I, I needed a break, and I hope I did send you one, but I honestly don't remember. So if I have forgotten, please forgive me for that. I'm sure I did though. Otherwise, I hope you're doing all right, my friend. Uh, I'm just slowly getting back to having a night's sleep. Oh, you did get the email. That's good. It's okay. I had a little tragedy in my life as well, and it's bumming me out for a while as well. Yeah, it's one of the other many things that happen to you as you get older, isn't it? It takes you longer to go over things. don't like the don't let the bees grind you down, Joe. It's what they want. No, you're right. I know you're right, Woodlander. Jeez, oh. It's actually dry here, to be honest. It's dull on the cool side, but dry. So, so that's something. Pissing down here like a November evening. Yeah, yeah, it was something. One of the things Alison said, I can't, I'm not sure anymore. You see, this is my mind is confused. Um, but Alison said, or reminded me, that when the lockdowns were on, how brilliant the summer weather was. And she's absolutely right. The weather was terrific during that whole summer period. Not that that is suspicious, of course. Not at all. But it was. It really was. And the other thing I noticed, the obvious thing, uh, how fresh the air was. Oh, again, Woodlander, you're right. That's absolutely true. There weren't any chemtrails. It's funny, says Eke, as I've gotten older and certain things are worse and others easier, and sometimes both at the same time. Tragedies are no longer earth shattering, they just linger for longer. That's true. They do. They do. And you're right, Woodlander. I'd forgotten about that as well. There weren't any chemtrails. And when you took a deep breath, well, I say this because I live in a town, whereas you only visit them, I'm certain. But there was no oil or diesel smell in there. Very good, Margaret. Good job, we're not conspiracy theorists. Well, I never got to see any of the rivers, certainly, Woodlander. I'll take your word for it, though, and I can believe that that was happening. The air was better. He's saying he's agreeing, and the rivers cleared up. Well, goodness sake. Hi there, Treble M. I'm just commenting on something Alison said about about how much better the weather was during the lockdowns. We had brilliant weather up here during the summertime. Clear blue skies, white, white clouds, really warm. The other things that I noticed, which is what we're discussing, Treble M, is the air was fresher. There was no oil or diesel smell on the nose. Obviously, without the traffic, it was so much quieter, which was great. And Woodlander is saying that the air was better and the rivers began to clear up. Ah, there's our friend Richard, if I remember correctly. I like that, Woodlander. Conspiracy realists. I like it. I like it. Eki saying my favourite distinction is between A, conspiracy theorists, and B, uh, coincidence theorists. Corporate media wants us all to be coincidence theorists. I don't believe in coincidences. I haven't for many a day believed in that. Wolfie, my neighbour the other day, 65, told me about the great replacement the other day. Although I obviously have to tell him more, it was a beautiful moment. It's never too late. Gosh, that's really interesting. No, do you have that noise, do you, Treble M? I used to have that noise. I enjoyed the peace from not having aircraft noise. I say you'd live under a flight path. Well, when I when I lived in Paisley, that's exactly uh, what I had. We were living in the flight path, so the planes were coming in overhead, same when they were taking off. It's bloody awful. Absolutely awful. Julia, good evening. My allotment is like sitting in heaven. I hope not. They might ask me, well, if I make it, that is, into heaven. Am I going to make it into the allotment? That's the question. They might start asking me to, you know, do some work. I don't know anything about plants and flowers and things. I believe in coincidences, says Eki. I just don't trust them. Well, that's good. I'm pleased I got your name right. Uh, yeah, because the first time you were here, I was referring to you as Rushford. Richard is much nicer, much more friendly. Eki is saying that's outstanding. That 65-year-old neighbour he's seeing a lot of people recognising what's going on. We're now seeing pattern recognition within the general population. Maybe we'll hit critical mass. Couldn't agree more, Woodlander. He's saying nature is good for the soul. Absolutely. I highly recommend to people who are uptight, stressed in other words. Uh, he hasn't come in yet, Richard, our William. He hasn't come in yet. He might be live streaming and come in when he's finished. Uh, yeah, I have always recommended to people when they're stressed out to get into either the beach or the countryside, one of the two. And if it's men or women, I suppose, it's mainly been men over the years that I've got them to do this: take their shoes and socks off and walk about in their bare feet, and that dissipates the stress into the earth. Well, thank you, Margaret. I know it works. I know it works. I've seen it work myself. I've taken people. Well, because of where I live, I can take them down the coast, not that far from here, and just get them to walk on the grass that's there, and they always feel so much more relaxed. 5-10 minutes is all you really need. That's how I know it works. Well, there you go. There's someone who knows the advantage. Heck, he's suggesting or recommending we're going to have to develop some covert uh, just languages so we can have discussions without algorithmic interference. That's for sure, Richard. Definitely not enough. But it is happening. It is. Linguistics. I thought, I kind of thought that's what you were meaning. Okay. I think we need all people. Uh, We need the whole spectrum of people. The more the merrier. I'd like to I'd like to hear about more people removing their children from schools the way PBC's done. I'd like to see more of that happening. I think there's enough of us to be able to support anyone who wishes to teach their children at home. I'm confident there is enough of us. PBC's doing it and she's never been to university. She seems to be coping well, which is terrific. Okay, I completely agree, says he. Thing is, we've got a lot of buying out of high agency and high IQ people. I want the biggest talent possible, dent possible. I'm also looking to maximize on energy expense. I think we're all in agreement with these things, Eki. I mean, that's if you think what Woodlander has launched, it's exactly what we need. I mean, when he first started talking about this, my imagination just instantly jumped to the idea of summer camps for families coming together. Well, a place where the wee ones can run wild and have a great time. You don't need to worry about traffic or anything like that. Where adults can grow friendships and knit together in a way that we cannot do over the internet. And I want to see that grow. Richard, I'm off next weekend to the country. Next weekend to um, Calendar. I think I mentioned it last time I was here. I think you did. There you go. It's already happened. It's already happened. That was the first thing I went to in my imagination when Woodlander started talking about this before they'd ever bought anything. I could suddenly see boom summer summer camps throughout when the kids are off school, right through that whole period, 2 months, families, individuals, groups, all sorts. Brilliant. No, this is the thing, Eke. This is what makes it exciting. And when you've got a bit of ground like that, oh, I hadn't even thought about that. Lots of dogs. I hadn't even thought about that. People bringing their dog, their pets, which was funny but great. Yeah, can imagine. Oh, the dogs forming packs, working out who's the leader. Amazing. So I say, never even thought of that. Good question, Treble. Does the land have access to water? Now I'll be surprised if he says no. I, he's got the experience. They must have bought Wolfie. More dogs the merrier. A load of us going down end of August to build toilets and shower facilities. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I won't be able to do this. I'm telling you now, Woodlander, I'm too old for sleeping under canvas. Yeah, I thought it would have. I couldn't imagine Woodlander being involved in that and them not buying with water supply. Eki, I'd like to know when you bring dogs, they turn into a pack almost immediately. Yeah, I'm going to train them to pounce on strangers. There you go. It's got its own spring-fed stream. I, I knew it'd have to have, or something. I think these things will come in time, Wolfie. As I said, likes of me, I'm too old for that carry on, under canvas. I was never an under canvas type person anyway, even when I was a young man. I did it, but I'd rather be sleeping in the nearest hotel. There we go. These things will come in time. That's what I see. We need to. I think what will happen is that there'll be a pattern as to what goes on the land when people are there, and that'll dictate the direction of any building. Woodlander, do you need, right? You own the land. Do you still need to get permission from councils to build things on it, or do you just do it? Can you tell me with a simple answer? Is that possible? Is that a simple answer? Yes or no? I'd like to know, because obviously when you put a building such as a woodshed or a toilet, this becomes a permanent thing. Absolutely. This is just the beginning. That's all it is, Eke. It's just the beginning. There you go. There's a volunteer. But I'm sure there's a hotel not too far from the land, which is where I'd be going. Simply because of my age and my health condition. I'd like to, I'd like to go. One of my neighbours has a dog, says Eke. When I see it alone in the yard, I always pet it. One day I saw the dog being walked. I approached because I liked it. The dog reared up and immediately put both paws on me in recognition. The owner apologised, but I loved that. That's nice. Dog knows you now. There's things we can do legally because of the size we've bought. It's called permitted development rights. Well, of course, you've got the experience to know some of this stuff, or probably quite a lot of it, which helps. Well, I'm sure if I'm going to need 31st of August, I'll need to look at the calendar here to see what's what. I'll put you up in a hotel in Bluth, Wells, only 6 miles away, John. Oh, that's brilliant. As I say, I am going to become part of this initiative. That's one of the reasons I'd like you to come on the channel so I can have a private, a one-to-one. I do need, honestly, a reminder of how this plan works. It's because, as I say, my personal situation has changed, has improved a little for the better. And I, as you well know, I have been singing the praises of this ever since you launched it. And if I can make that 30th of August, I certainly will. Of that, there is no doubt. Um, but of course, well, I'm saying, of course, this is June, isn't it? June. No, it's not. It's not June. It's July, John. Yeah, July the 5th. July. God, we're not got that many weeks to August. What am I saying? July. 1, 2. What did you say? What date? August, was it? Oh, it's the end of August, right? Oh, that's not so bad. At the moment, that seems It'd be okay for me. I definitely want to come and meet you guys. Hashtag is good evening. I'll give you, well, as I say, hopefully you'll be on the live stream, you know, a good time before that, Woodlander, so I can tell you for definite and get this hotel booked. Um, that would be terrific. It really would. Richard's saying if we're putting communities together for when societies collapse, we won't need permission to build on the land. We won't even need to buy the land and just take it. That's where you see, this is where I see the politics coming into play. You know, where that land is, we should be we should be planning our political takeover of the local council. Where that is, that should be our plan. Ah, there's Unicorn. Good evening. Hello, everyone. Hello, Hasdak. Random to see you here. It's the next meetup on our, well, not our, I'm not part of it yet, uh, on the land. That's what's being discussed. Woodlander has given out the date as the 30th. Businesses Council, MP. Absolutely. That's where we need to concentrate our political efforts. There. We would, ideally, we would politically want to control that. And that's how I see these, uh, we'll call them communities, growing in parallel. Once they buy a bit of land someplace like they've done, then we concentrate political activity there and try and get control of that area. So Woodland are saying the 31st of August. So there it is. That's where it is. I've got to see this place. Even if it's only once, I've got to see it. And that's my vision of how these two approaches can be parallel, separate, and they need to be separate so that if the regime tries to target then they're dealing with two entities rather than one. So they have to be kept separate. Well, that doesn't mean you say they cannot be parallel and be working together. Yeah, we could easily get William on if he wants to join us. I just well, want to meet Woodlander for a starter, and that's brilliant. That's the other thing I like about this idea. Folk can just go there. If it's possible for you to go there, you might have a long week or weekend away from work or something like that, and just go there, relax. And if you, I'll be on soon, he said. Uh, this is brilliant. This is exactly what I had imagined would happen. People would start going there without, without arranging anything. Oh, that's right. William sent you to this channel, didn't he, Richard? I remember now. Near where Nick Griffin used to live. Really? Well, that shouldn't put us off. And that'll happen more and more often to folks. People who are able to will just go there. And if are others there, then so what? They'll meet up. It's part of how this community will grow. And I thought it was a great idea from the word go. There's certain questions that I'd like to ask, but not in a public place like this, which I could do when I'm on site, when I'm on the land. I can speak much more privately and openly, which is one of the things that I would want to do. Treble M would like to know, Woodlander, could you put, say, a gypsy caravan on the land? Papa Smurf. Good evening, Toffee. Just ask him what colour undies he's got on, John, says Toffee. He won't mind. Yeah, I'll bet you do. I'll bet you do. A lot of plans. I'll never be short of plans with my imagination, I'll tell you that much. And they've got their own imagination, so we'll never be short of ideas. But I'm glad that started already, Woodland, of people just on their own initiative just going there. I think that's truly, truly good news. It was bound to happen, but it's happened quite early on. That's the terrific part of it. The Woodlander. Blue geek goddess, elasticated trunks. Ah, I could have went to bed without that image in my head, you know. Quite, quite. Yeah. I was actually, it's pretty good timing as far as I'm concerned. This August date, I've been thinking, as we're making arrangements for the funeral and everything, um, I was telling myself that after it was all done and dusted, that I fancied the idea of going away somewhere. And I don't mean, a fortnight in Spain or something. Just go away out of the town. And this would be the answer. Well, I can agree more, Richard. We should face to face meetings without our phones. Leave our phones in the car and go for a coffee, lunch, or just a walk in the country away from technology. Couldn't agree more. I don't have a car, by the way. Uh, I'll need to. Yeah, absolutely. Come along, Richard. I'm sure somebody's going to bring a guitar. uh, Ether Elephant. Can't get Action Man's plastic knickers out of my head now. Good evening to you, sir or madam. As a new name for this journal. Yeah, it is, Woodlander. As I say, I have been thinking about it, you know, to give me a separation between all the trauma of the funeral and all the rest of it. And now there's even more going on in the background. Yeah, Toffee, I did jump in for a while, listen to what was going on. And we're all in fine forum, mocking and joking. Oh, is he from Dangerfield? Ah, okay. Robert, good evening, Robert. How are you doing, sir? Well, this is going to be, it will make a good start for us nationalists to get together. And because of where it is, it's going to drag people from all over the country. Because of where it's located. I mean, that's quite a bit of a journey for me, but uh, I'm sure I'll survive it. The last Jacobite has a guitar, says Richard. Maybe try and get him to come along too. Well, I was told that they are having a meet up as well. Just back from the football, says Robert. Ayr versus Celtic. Friendly. Amusing pitch invasion by kids at the end. Yeah, are you going to come along, Toffee? I'm going to try and make it myself because I had been thinking about getting away from the town for a couple of days at least, but not abroad. I hadn't settled in anything. I got a brochure in from Caledonia. Yeah, Caledonia. This is one about for the Waverley. The last paddle steamer. Last working paddle steamer. And this is an advert for Cedar School, private school, Christian run, owned by a church, a local church. Uh, used to be a gentleman's club. Oh, you fly there? Really? See, I didn't know that. Fly down. Wow, that would be exciting. That must be a wee plane then, a wee private plane. Yeah, please do, Toffee. Try and make it. I'd like to meet up. Well, the thing is, Richard, I was trying to meet them with the idea in my mind of trying to form some kind of relationship, either a political one or a social and political one, because I've never heard of this group just up until recently. Right, Woodlander, please send me an email and we'll have you on the channel. It's Tuesday and Fridays. It's that simple. Pick one, let me know. Or you fly into Cardiff, do you? Wow, it's all exciting stuff. Okay, doke, Woodlander. Speak soon. That would be pretty neat, that wouldn't it? Toffee, a private plane. Not even Elon Musk, John. Fly into Cardiff. Uh, I was a young man the last time I was in Wales. Beautiful country, though. Must say, well, the parts I visited, put it that way. Um, Lovely. I was on my way to Ireland. I was on my motorbike at the time, and I planned this out. That's it, Richard. You've got it in one there. So yeah, I was I drove through Wales and saw a lot of the countryside, and I was very fortunate that not just on that leg of the journey, but the whole journey was very good weather. I had a tent. I mean, it was a two-man tent. Uh, Me and a girlfriend, of course. Uh, so yeah, I enjoyed it in Wales, and I thought the people I met were really great folks. They really were. Unicorn said, "So I've got some news. Had the sheriff officers at my door for council tax. Printed off my first promissory note, £852. Ah, I've read about this stuff, unicorn. I'm not saying I'm an expert or anything, but I know a little about it. I came across it years ago, trying to pay a debt by creating a new debt. First time trying, giving that a shot. Absolutely, yeah. See what see what kind of reaction you get. Yeah. I hope it works. It'd be brilliant if it works. Gavin saying all of the UK is lovely. Even Bradford, Scotland is my favourite. I have seen a wee bit of England, not a great deal, I might add. I was in Cornwall. I've been down there. It's nice countryside. A lot of the west coast is nice. The Lake District and all that. That was the route I took. I took. I just followed the coastline, the west coastline, I skipped out Blackpool. I went into Wales, which was obviously North Wales. And obviously, I skipped out Liverpool as well. North Wales is my favourite place to walk. The docks is toffee. Not too far from Liverpool. Beautiful country. It is. It's gorgeous. I never saw any of the industrial side of the country, of course. But yeah, and as I say, the people were really friendly. I remember I stopped at a farm, and I don't have Facebook, Richard, and I'm not on Twitter or Telegram. That's my problem. This is the only place I use YouTube, or I would. Gavin's telling us has been all over the UK. Well, there's certain parts of England I haven't been to. But yeah, I was telling you about this. It was a farmhouse, and I chapped the door, and a lady answered, and all I was asking for was permission to put up my little tent, and she said fine, uh, and pointed out a tap, a water tap, and next to the door, and said I could use that if I wanted to give myself a wash. So that's what I did. I put up the tent, parked the bike, put up the tent, came back, and started washing my hands and face. And while I'm doing that, the door opens and this lady comes back out, says, uh, the food will be ready in a half an hour or something, something like that. And short while later, they she invited both of us into the house, the kitchen, the big kitchen, and it was this giant plate of food. From what I remember, it was. I'm sure it was a fry up, right? But it could easily have been something else, which I thought was absolutely amazing. I hadn't asked. Brilliant. Didn't chew into any money, of course, and which was even better. No, I had a lot of money on me, but I was obviously I would have given her some cash for the food. If ever been on a motorbike, it's something that you know keeps you hungry. You're out in the fresh air all the time. But anyway, went to the pub and was a pub not too far away, which I found strange pub, hexagonal pub. Only locals, obviously. My memory says there was no windows in it, but I wouldn't go in the memory. It says a long time ago. We're talking about, oh, yeah, a long time ago, 1970s. So anyway, two lads came into the pub later on, and it turned out to be the sons of this farmer, and they had motorbikes with them. And so we had a great old time flashing about on the motorbikes in the fields at night. Brilliant. Wonderful memory. You're 38 and you haven't paid any council tax. Good for you. And Julia hasn't paid any ever. Something something a bit strange about that unicorn. It's, I think Richard is gone. Woodlander, he's left us. I'm sure he'll see it. Oh, that's what it is. Raising money to send elsewhere, no doubt on wars. I think this is becoming something that people are slowly wakening up to, this idea that our money is getting spent in wars against our wishes. I hope it becomes something of an issue. Wolfie, I've never paid TV license. But council tax is a fine achievement, Julia. I salute you. Absolutely, Julia. I don't know how you've managed that. I certainly haven't. Hi, Richard. I'm back, Johnny's then. I was just checking up Woodlander's Telegram channel. Well, I stopped paying a TV license when the Jimmy Savile scandal broke. I wasn't watching much television anyway. I never have really watched a lot of television. It's a habit I never get into thanks to being in the group. And that was enough for me. The fact that the BBC covered all this up, disgusting. So I stopped paying it, and as I'm sure you all know, you get a bit of hassle the minute you do things like that. And I did. I got hassled by them. I still do. I get the letters in every now and then, threatening this or that. I just ignore it, and I have done for a long time. So about 20 years now. Oh, whenever the Savile scandal first broke, that's when I stopped paying it. And people still look strangely at me when I say I don't have television piped into my house. My pal Jerry, he was the same. Oh, that's a good way of putting it, Wolfie. television, half poison, half chewing gum, and no nutrition. Absolutely, Gavin. No on TV license since '97. Excellent. It's one of our policies in our uh, policy document to do away with BBC license. What we need to do with that is we need to do away with the license, but hold ownership over the backlog of programming for television and radio. That needs to be kept in public ownership so that we can make money from selling the use of these shows through licenses. That's what we need to do with that so that we keep it. Whereas they're making fortune on it, selling it or leasing it out. Richard is saying you get a letter every couple of years asking you about a TV license. I have kept telling them I don't have a TV, which is true. I wouldn't even bother replying to them, Richard. I think I did it to begin with, and then I just stopped. Just stopped. So when the letters started coming in, I would, at first I would open them up and then tear them up and throw them in the bin. But nowadays, when I get one in, I don't even open it. I recognise I recognise it right away, so I don't even open it. Just tear it up, throw it in the bin. Sometimes I don't even bother to tear it up. I refuse to contract with Power when I moved into my last house, says Unicorn. They sent me a threatening letter. We will find out who you are. I used Lisa for like 4 years before they got my name through court. All right. They came to the door with police, locksmith, electrician, swiped out my meter, but they gave me £30 free credit to start me off, which I found hilarious, and sent me an estimated bill for £4,500. Holy moly. Wow. It's a lot of money. Gavin, I've always had a TV. I just never opened my door. I just never opened my door if I don't know who the person knocking. If I don't know the person knocking it. Quite right. You know, they have no authority to come into your property anyway. Just remember that. They've got no authority. In fact, they've actually got no authority to be on your if you've got a pathway to your front door, they're not even get any authority to be on that. They've got no authority whatsoever. It's all bluff and kidology they use because most people don't know. But once you stop, like I did deliberately with a license, I looked into it to find out what powers they had and what they didn't have, so I could stand my ground. The BBC has a statue of a paedophile outside the building. Just tell them that. Then tell them you'll sue them if they accuse you of watching their filth again. It's Wolfie saying that. Well, there you go. There's a piece of information. Unicorn saying you don't have to pay an estimated bill by law. They actually have to provide a true bill. Right. Wolfie's got a better answer. They need to F off, that's for sure. Oh, goodness sake. Actually, that's true from Wolfie about the paedophile statue. The guy not only abused his daughters, but the family dog as well. Oh, God. Oh, jeez. Means it's considering the BBC, it's kind of fitting, is it not, for such a piece of stonework to watch over their entrance, don't you think? It's somewhat fitting. You don't hate the BBC enough. I just never think about them anymore. They never enter my mind. I was a bit teed off the other week when I discovered that I had been reprimanded by YouTube for playing a clip from Question Time. Apparently, I had been my streaming had been stopped for 3 minutes as punishment for daring to use a clip. Didn't used to be that way. So obviously things have changed since I last used a clip from Question Time. But as I told you before, I don't watch that show. I never watched that show when when they started recording it, and then they did that. I think they did that well. Oh, a long while ago. I quite enjoyed it when it was live. It wasn't a bad show because they couldn't control the questions in the audience. Again, unicorn. It's not something I think about. I'm actually wary of going on camera or having social media with these new laws. It's a bit late for me to worry about such things. I shut down my media a while back, says Unicorn, and got rid of WhatsApp. Well, I just take the attitude that it's a bit late to be concerned, as far as I'm concerned. Almost as long as I've been on YouTube, the camera has been on for me. So, and I don't give it any thought. I don't pay any attention to any of the laws and regulations. I really don't. I don't deliberately go out of my way, of course, to provoke the powers that be, but I don't shy away from it either. Unicorn. The girlfriend complained. She was moaning she couldn't sending me pictures of silly gifts. I was devastated. I'm kind of poking the bear with this promise that they know. Of course you are. Of course you are. You're curious to find out how it's going to respond. I have no idea. I can't help you out on this one. I think I don't think there's a uniform response to such uh, challenges. And that's what you're doing. You're challenging their so-called authority. You will, of course, keep us informed if you can. I'd be curious as to find out what happens, what they do, how they respond to it. Maybe a wee will. You never know. They might send it up to the legal department. I'm sure they would probably do that. Very good. I, for one, would like to know. Well, I think most of the people on the chat here will be curious as to how they proceed with this one. Oh, there's Streaky Bacon. You were in fine feckle last night, Streaky. Hello, Mucka. You are looking in fine feckle like an old Cuban cigar. Ooh, oh, I miss my Cuban cigars. I tell you that, Streaky. Yeah, you were in full flight last night, Streaky. Nice to see you back again, my friend. Everyone tells me that I'm looking well, considering. Uh, and for the most part, I feel okay. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel, but I don't feel as though I've got the dreaded cancer, but I have. I just don't. I feel okay. Streaky. Yeah, last night was a laugh. I had about six in Desperados and talk nonsense. Yeah, it was a bit of a hoot. That's what I would say. It was definitely a hoot. Oh, I thought that was pretty common knowledge now. Unicorn. Yeah, yeah. I have that dreaded disease. I have it here in the lung, my left lung. I thought I thought all our folks knew about it. I've actually put weight on, believe it or not. I had to go and buy new trousers for the first time, and I had a wardrobe of trousers that I couldn't get into anymore ever since I started. Wolfie, he's making a point sarcastically, and he's quite right. Weimar 2.0 set in a retail park with African security. Is that where we are in life? A nation of warriors. There's going to come a breaking point, Wolfie. There's going to come a breaking point. I don't know what will cause it. It'll be something small will break loose, and there'll be hell to pay. That's my own thoughts on that. What concerns me is if it does break, well, it'll be a bloody nightmare. A long 50 years of frustration being held back by not a lot. It'll be a bloodbath if it breaks. That damn goes. So I hope it doesn't. Of course, they won't hesitate to bring the army, what's left of it, onto the street. Streaky. It's a perfect job for low IQ, lazy fuckers who like long hours. To us, it's like being given jobs as chemical engineers. Well, that's part of the reason they're here, Streaky, as you well know. It's to drive wages and conditions down as far as they can drive them down. That's always been the case. Always been the case. It's exactly. I think it's one of the things that happen to you when you live to any length, like myself. You get to hear the same things over and over again. I mean, ever since I can remember, I've been listening to Well, we've got to import these people because, you know, Britishers are too lazy and they just won't do these jobs. They just won't do them. So we've got to import labour. I've been listening to that all my life. All my life I have been listening to that. It's a complete lie, of course. Complete lie. To African on the gate where I work, cycles for Deliverable from 6 till 9 p.m. and reckons he earns £50 more than his building site wages. Unicorn, I was reading something a while back about a drug called fenbendazole. It's like it's a dog warmer, but they keep finding it's in trials killing off cancer cells. Robert, aging population guff. Again, that's another one I've been listening to my whole life. Oh, nonsense! Just lies, absolute lies. Unicorn, something to do with changing glucose uptake levels of cancer cells needed to multiply. Again, this is something you hear on and off over the years. Different things, strange things are supposed to be doing this and doing that. Eventually, after a short while, you get to the point where you you just ignore it, don't listen to them. I'm afraid I belong to the that class, that group of people who say that cancer probably has a cure. There probably is a way to get rid of it, but we'll never know because they'll never release it. It's too much money, it's too advantageous to the powers that be. That's what I think. Streaky, I spiked my nan's teeth with warming tablets and she started carpet surfing. A sight to behold. And as Doc quite correctly says, there's no money in the curing. There isn't. My mother went mental. Well, again, this is why I don't give a McGavin. Gavin's saying exactly how many billions his cancer research had. Absolutely. Absolutely. All I can say on that front, and this is based on my experience, is that when my late wife Helen took cancer and went through the chemotherapy stuff, uh, it was brutal. I mean, it really was brutal on her. We'd go to the hospital, we'd sit for a couple of hours, they put the stuff into her, we'd get a taxi home. She'd get into here, the house, the bed's behind this green screen here. She'd take off her clothes, get into bed, and that would be her. She couldn't do it. She was out of action for a day and a half before her next dose was due. If she was lucky, she got 2 days before the next dose. Now, that's when she went through it. When I went through it, and I know everybody's different, they get different chemicals put into them. I understand all of that. This is the only way I can measure it. So when I went through last year, um, I went and they asked me, would I mind coming early in the morning on a Friday? And I said, fine. So I would go along there back at 10 o'clock, be leaving the hospital around 1, getting in a cab and coming home. And I chose to go to bed, lie out for the rest of the afternoon. And I was able then to come on a Friday night and do a live stream. And what I'm trying to tell you is I see an improvement in the way chemotherapy affects the person getting it. And in between that experience of mine, I helped Laura look after her elder sister when she was getting chemo. And it wasn't quite as bad for her as it had been for Helen. So if they're doing anything, the treatments, the chemotherapy treatment is not as toxic as it once was. That's as much as I can say. But I'm like everyone else, I think. I asked that question that Gavin asked. Why has there no cure ever arisen, or even the slightest hope of a cure arisen, considering the billions? And he's quite right. It will be billions. Wolfie. But if you pay more taxes, our party will end climate cancer racism forever. It's a combination, Streaky, of all of these things. So of course I'm in agreement with you. I reckon these efforts know they are causing us cancer. It's in food processing, packaging, etc., etc., etc. Absolutely. I have always said, well, I'm not always said, but I have been saying for at least since Helen died and before it, cancer is a working class disease. Rich people get heart attacks, right? We get cancer. It's based on stress. Because the one thing that all of us share, being working class people, is we come into the world with nothing, and our parents, generally speaking, either have nothing or not very much. And so, therefore, we live a life full of stress. We spend our whole life trying to escape poverty. There's been a few unicorn. Anthony Holland proved he could kill leukemia cells live in a tech talk. Haven't heard shit from him since. No, he's probably dead. It's a whole combination of things, folks. There isn't one. There isn't one thing that you can point to. Oh God, unicorn. Latest one I've heard is these cheap recycled clothes PPL are buying from Primark are rubbing estrogen or something into your skin. As I say, I mean, I think you're all right in your own way. Fluoride in the water, yeah. I don't think, I don't think it's one thing. I never have. I think it's a multitude of things. And they all serve their own purpose. Same as this stuff that comes from the sky. It's not just that, but it serves a purpose. It's part of a bigger plan. Like everything that you've said here. Now, one of my historical interests happens to be uh, American Indians, as we call them. Now, until we Europeans came across those folk, we didn't know anything about tobacco. But those people who were native to North America and Canada, they used it all the time. Tobacco I'm talking about. And yet, there is no dark or black history about Native Americans and cancer. It just isn't. And I find that interesting. And all these decades later, chemo, chemo is still the only treatment. Only change is targeted chemo kills brain cells. You may well be right. You may well be right. I find myself these days, you know, I'll be talking about, even on here, I've done it on here, I'll be talking about something, and it's going, my mind's going. That never used to be me. I had an extraordinary um, detailed memory function. Always had that. I'm on a river. I live next to the River Clyde in the town of Greenock, Unicorn. In Scotland, thankfully, our water is still fluoride free, says Robert. I thought this was funny. Of course, it's from our friend Streaky. I don't know about cheap recycled clothes killing people, but they are certainly killing fashion. I like that. I agree with that as well. So that's where I live, and I've, I went into exile in the late 60s for private reasons and went to Paisley to live for about 10 years. That's where I met my second wife, Helen. Uh, my son was born in Paisley. And then through employment, I came back to Greenock. But I only came back to Greenock after I had a job because I knew what it was like. So there you go, unicorn. It's Greenock I stay. It would need to be targeted to find a brain cell in me, says Streaky. Good evening, David. Nice to see you. Well, there you go. You see, there's David adding to it all. It's another factor. I mean, again, look at it this way. Let me make a big, bold assumption that I'm the oldest person here tonight, right? I think we can safely say I am. So let me tell you a fact. All right. When I was a boy growing up in this town, you could count on your one hand the amount of fat people you would see. And I'm talking about children. It was non existent, fat people, adults as well as children. Didn't exist. Now I'm going to throw in there was more chippies in the town then than there are today. And yet this town is like any other town now. It's filled, well, not filled, that's an exaggeration. There are far too many fat people, adults as well as children. How can that be? Well, we know the answer. At least I think I know the answer. And I would just point to fast food, pre and processed food. Now, think about this. My mother was made a widow at the age of 28. She went out to work and still all the food that I ate growing up between my mother, my granny, and my great granny was all made from scratch. And most people were brought up on that kind of diet in my generation. And one of the things that I would definitely do if I had if I were a first minister of this land, I would severely restrict fast food joints in the country. Not chippies, because we have always had well, not always, but for long enough we've had chippies in Scotland. They never created a problem, a dietary problem in the population. It's only with the influx of American fast food joints have we had this problem now with fat people. And that's what I call them. I don't use any of the euphemisms that they want you to use. They're fat, they're overweight. And it's not attractive. I didn't know about that, Streaky. So, also cooking food dishes from plastic, which are oven safe, quote, gives me concern. Of course. Paisley pattern stuff, yeah. And well, that's right. That's exactly what's happening, Streaky. That's the point I'm making. All this influx of foreigners. I don't personally think of the chippy owners and the cafe owners as anything but Scottish. They came here generations ago and brought us ice cream and chips and fish and cafes and mixed and married into local populations. I'm friendly with one of them. It's not that far from here. Sells the best ice cream in the town. I'm fortunate. Well, there you go. There's a warning from David. It was the first conversation me and my partner had about the fluoride put in the water supply. As she worked in science, wanted to know what she thought. She agreed how dangerous it was. And they talk about, oh, this great democracy we have got. No one ever bloody asked us, did we want it? It's just done. That's the trouble in this country and too many other countries as well. Things are just done. Well, that's true, Streaky. Scotland has given the world the Paisley pattern and the tartan. Two unique things, by the way, if you think about it. That- That's what my mother used, my granny before her, Streaky, was beef fat. I have heard it said, and I cannot decide one way or the other, I don't know enough, but I have heard it said that cooking oil is the worst thing you should be using. Oh, that's a good way of putting it. That, Duck. Nice to have you with us. We've been conditioned to be spectators, says Duck. Yeah, well, Italians own Largs, for goodness sake. Nardinis. Oh, thank you, Hasdak. It's 11 o'clock, he's telling me. You're quite right. Yeah, but that's the difference. The difference is they came and it was poverty that brought them. And the reason I know all this is because I am friendly with an Italian. I mean, I call him an Italian. He's not an Italian. He's a Scot. His son, his son tells me that, and I believe him. He's got two photographs framed, one on the right hand side of his bed and one on the left hand side of, behind his bed. One on the right and one on the left. And you may be surprised when I tell you who these two politicians are. One is an Italian politician by the name of Mussolini, and the other one is an Austrian German politician by the name of Adolf Hitler. Well, there you go. Uh, Beef dripping makes the best chips. There you go. That's what I used to do, Hasdak, when my son bought me the first laptop. I used to lurk, as it wasn't caught, they didn't have a name for it back then. But that's what I did. I did that for years. Well, that's the thing, Wolfie. My granddad, a Glasgow lad, met a lovely half Italian lads. My favourite grandparents, to be honest. Yeah, can believe it. Can believe it. Hemp oil is a great oil to light fry with. Hang on, it's getting away from it. It's getting away from me. Uh, it doesn't break down at high temperatures so easy, so is better than others, but more pricey. Well, up until shortly after the Second World War, hemp oil and marijuana were freely available all over the USA and Europe. It was the rich people who owned the enormous forests, the lumber, in fact, as they call it in America, lumber, um, bought American politicians to make it all illegal. so that to make paper and such like, it made timber valuable. That's just a fact. I mean, you could get um, hemp up until about 1947 or so, 48, and medical purposes. It's a very, very useful um, plant, and that's the reason it was made illegal. Can't be a bit lurking. Well, you see, one of the things, again, it was just a bit of lack of understanding in my part. I was very, very protective of my identity back then when I was a viewer, and I didn't want to give up anonymity, but I was always tempted to want to take part in discussions whenever I came across different channels that I watched at the time. So anyway, it's time I was. Well, I'm definitely going to make an effort to go to the meetup on in August, the last part of August. I'm definitely going to make an effort to do that, especially if you can take a plane. So anyway, the stream is coming to an end, folks. And I can definitely tell you all that I'm looking forward to it already. And I'm been. Yes, Streaky, that's exactly what I'm planning on doing. I want to try and get him on as a guest for a number of reasons because I, um, my personal finances has changed a little bit for the better. So I want to join the initiative, and I want him to come on and do a revision, refresh our minds, or at least my mind about it, how it works. But I do want to visit, uh, even if it's only one time I get to do it. I want to do it. So yes, I'm going to do my best to get there. It's the end of August, um, and when I know a wee bit more about it, then I'll know for how long will I be there for. I mean, he's very generously offering to pay to fly me down, which is really, really generous, of course. Um, but yeah, I'm planning to be there. But tonight it's time for me to leave, and wish you all a nice weekend. If you get some good weather, get outside. Don't spend it all indoors, like I always say. Um, so I will say adios, au revoir, cheerio, and until Tuesday night, all being well, um, I'll speak to you then. Okay? And uh, thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. And we'll speak soon, folks. Okay, doc. Enjoy the music and take care of yourself. Thanks again for being here.
Silently the snow falls, paints a winter scene, swiftly spreads the dark rim, hides a fading autumn green. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, conjure friendships dear to me. Lightly now the breeze flows, disturbing more than just the leaves. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow. Patiently the love grows, lifts the weary heart. Gently now she holds me, melts two worlds once apart. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, usher dreams of you and me. Softly then the breeze blows, disturbing more than just the trees.
All together now.
But love's much more,
So much more
than we can know.
than we can ever possibly know.
We are one small glow,
But an important glow.
in the eternal flow. Melodies of long ago, songs of innocence, harmonies to soothe the soul, past the consequence. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, awakening joys of you and me. Silently the snow falls, bringing winter symphony.
All together now.
But we're much more
So much more
than we can know.
than we can ever possibly know.
We are one small glow,
But an important
in
glow.
the eternal flow. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow,
Sounds interesting,
in
Streaky.
the eternal flow.
Very good, folks. So you take care, all of you, and I'll see you all soon. So bye for now.